I had sex with his best man at our wedding day. My husband found out and took brutal revenge.
Some of the things we do are just because we want to feel less lonely, because of our boring marriages. I love my husband so much, but love alone is not enough to make me feel happy. I am not adjusting what I did, and I know that I had to at least release one person from the abomination, but I couldn't. My husband and I share that rare kind of love that is admired by people from the outside, while we know that we are forcing it. Men have egos and always have a reputation to be worried about, while their own wives are always cooped up in a world's kind of a marriage. I know I took a wrong turn to deal with the whole thing. I know I shouldn't have fallen in love with his friend and best man, but he was giving me what I had been not getting from my husband. The guy made me feel secure, happy, and alive, while my husband was busy with his own thing and focusing more on his career. It was supposed to be a once-off thing, but I got carried away, and now karma is dealing with me so bad. Please give me tips on how I should have dealt with this. I still love my husband, but I don't know how to get him back. What should I do? I don't really know what came over me. Lust and craving for something outside your relationship can cause a huge disaster and drift between couples. I craved for something that I was not getting in my relationship. I went outside my perfect, imperfect relationship and ruined the only good thing that I had. I regret it, and I don't know what to do to fix it. I mean, I cheated with his friend who was also his best man on our wedding day. Now that I got caught, I don't really know how to recover from this. Where will I go, and what would I do without my husband in my life? But I know I messed up, but can't he at least give me one last chance? I won't deny that I did him wrong, and what I did is unforgivable. I acted like a loose witch who doesn't think before taking action. Please tell me what I should do or say to make my husband rethink his decision. I miss him so much. Adam, male 40, and I, female 33, met in a business event that was happening at the restaurant that I am owning years ago. Well, he was the one who was hosting a business dinner, so he came to my restaurant and booked the place for his function. Since that time, my restaurant was new in our small town in Barcelona. I was happy to get a chance to host a formal event in my restaurant, and it was going to be a very good kickstart for me and my business. So Adam had asked to speak to the owner of the restaurant, and since I was always in the restaurant, we arranged a meeting for his event. A couple of months later, he came back. I had thought he wanted to host another event, but no, the poor man was not. He actually came to ask me out, telling me that he was new in town, so he needed a friend. Well, my husband is a very blunt person, and he has that thing of saying things as they are, without sugarcoating them. I was charmed by his bluntness and honesty. He was also a very handsome and sophisticated man. So since I was in the restaurant business and he was in the real estate business, I thought, why not be friends with him? I was still trying to grow my business at that time, and I knew that he was going to help me. I know I acted like a gold digger, but I needed him and his connections. He was the man of not too many words. But what I had noticed about him was that he didn't like being taken for a ride, and he respects his business and his image. We became friends for quite a while. I was single and he was single. After some time, he told me that he needed a life partner, someone he would spend his life with because he was tired of being alone. I was really charmed, honestly, and the girl had already caught some feelings for the guy. I mean, we were spending almost all our free time together. He was a very romantic guy and knew how to use words to smoothen the lady's heart. You know, I grew up with my grandmother, from my paternal side. My parents passed on when I was very small. After my parents passed, I was with my little brother Jordan, male, 22. That time, my brother was a few months old, and I was around 5 years old when our parents were gunned down by unknown men. I couldn't believe it, you know. Everything happened so fast that day. One minute we were having dinner as a family. Well, my brother was sleeping in his bedroom when 4 men came in and asked for money. What I remember is when my mother told me to go to my bedroom and asked these men to not harm her children. My father tried fighting one of the men, but he got shot. Then my mother followed, and that was it. I don't remember anything more, because I woke up in a hospital with our Nana and Jaden in her hands. It was a real traumatic experience for me. Since then, I vowed to love and protect my children, if God blesses me with them in the future, from any harm. Our Nana moved in with us since then. I would never forget that woman even in my afterlife. She taught me a lot, which included how to cook, and I fell in love with cooking, so I went to culinary school, thanks to the inheritance our parents left for us. I would forever cherish that woman in my life no matter where I go. Anyway, when Adam was away on business trips, we used to call each other every day or every chance we got. Until one day when I called his phone and was answered by some random girl, I asked who she was, but she didn't answer me. Instead, she asked who I was and why I was calling her man. That day, my heart sank. I couldn't even concentrate properly on my business for a week, which led me to lose some profits. Mind you, that time we were not even dating yet, but I was already jealous. I started acting like a psycho girlfriend on the poor guy because of the girl that had answered his phone. Did I fall in love with Adam sooner than expected? I asked him about the girl and he told me that she was no one. I don't know why my heart was broken because Adam and I were just friends, right? He apologized about the girl and promised to make it up to me when he gets back. So I forgave him when he did me wrong because he wasn't next to me. But when I do the same, it becomes World War II. He proposed after 6 months of dating, and that was the best thing I had ever got. Even my Nana was happy, and that was enough for my heart. It took us the whole year to think and plan what we wanted for the wedding, and when that day came, I messed it all up. All because of lust and craving for something different. So one beautiful, sunny, yet busy day, Noah, the guy I cheated with, male, 29, who was Adam's friend and I first met at my restaurant, as I was on duty to serve and cook for my customers that day since I was short on staff. He was friendly, kind, fun, and was always willing to listen to me and my problems, you know. I couldn't help but notice how attractive he was. He had a charming smile and a confident air about him that I found irresistible. Before I knew it, we were deep in conversation, and I found herself feeling drawn to him. As time went on, I found myself drawn to Noah's youthful energy and zest for life. I began to feel a connection with him that I hadn't felt in a long time. However, I knew that I was committed to Adam. Noah and I were spending more time together, exploring new ventures. It was fun. I got to be free and be me again. Yes, I needed a friend to pass time with, but I felt something for Noah. Despite my initial intentions to keep things platonic, my feelings for Noah grew stronger each day. I found myself daydreaming about him and eagerly awaiting our conversations on a social media platform called Discord, since it was where we would communicate because I didn't want my husband to find out about my newly formed friendship with Noah. One day, I couldn't resist the temptation any longer. I had to either choose to stay away from Noah and throw away how I feel, or I confess everything. So I decided to meet Noah in a restaurant kilometers away from where my house is, just to see if our connection was the way I felt or he was on his own game. So we arranged to meet at a local coffee shop, and my heart raced with excitement and guilt. So I confessed to the guy. I know it was a slutty move that I did, but I felt like confessing rather than to die with something that you had been longing to take out your chest. What surprised me was that he also felt the same way, but he wanted to keep our thing a secret because he had someone in his life. Of which I understood, because I also had Adam in my life, and if he was to find out about my abomination with his friend. But that time, I didn't know that he was Adam's friend from university, and they were also working together on some project because he had never introduced me to any of his friends up until the day he was hosting a braai at our house. Noah's energy and mine just clicked. I don't know how. But we had that kind of connection or chemistry that I also can't explain. My husband, or must I say ex-husband, was always traveling and leaving me alone in the house. So, on my day off work times, I would go and visit my Nana and stay with her. Even though our intimate moments were no longer the same, I was getting by him. The more my husband was not available, the more my feelings for Noah grew. We got so close. One day Adam was hosting a braai at our house. I was surprised to see Noah at that time. Adam introduced us. I couldn't tell him that I had already met Noah, so I pretended like it was my first time seeing him. During the braai that Adam was hosting, I was not really comfortable because I didn't know what he would say to Adam since they were drinking alcohol. My heart was not really at ease. Noah and I had already been out several times. He made me feel alive and appreciated, you know? What I did was wrong on so many levels. I should have ended the abomination whilst I had time. But guess what I did? I continued seeing him on the side. Well, I couldn't let go of him. I don't know why, but whenever I would think of cutting off our cheating because he also had a girlfriend, I would feel like I would be letting go of my happiness. After some time, I decided to be brave and end things with Noah because I loved Adam, and I believed that he was the one for me and no one else. I had always imagined myself spending my whole life and growing old with my first love. I couldn't risk Adam finding out about my abomination, as I thought that would destroy and jeopardize our relationship. Adam was the missing piece in my heart and soul, while Noah was the happiness that I had been longing for too long. The wedding day came. I was so happy to have got a chance to be getting married to my life partner. The weather was cool and relaxing, which made it much greater to get married. Noah was not happy about the way I had chosen to break things off, but I had to in order to save my relationship with Adam. Another thing, Adam made Noah his best man, and that was the greatest torture of all times, because I had broken things off with Noah because I had to choose between my heart and my happiness, and I chose my heart, which was Adam. I knew I was loved and secured by him. He loved me for me, you know? He made me show the other side of me that I had never known existed. He knew how to treat me right and make me his first. Well, when he felt like it or was not busy with work. I don't know what really came over me to mess such a good thing that was going on between Adam and I. So as I walked down the aisle, I felt confident that I was about to marry the man of my dreams. My husband-to-be, Adam, was handsome, successful, and seemed to love me unconditionally. Our wedding day was perfect, and I couldn't wait to start our lives together. But little did I know that my perfect day was about to take a turn for the worse. As the reception was winding down, I found myself alone in a quiet corner of the ballroom. I was tired and wanted nothing more than to go home and relax. But as I was about to make my exit, I saw him, Noah, Adam's best man, the man who brought me happiness, the one I had cheated with. I had asked Noah to act civil around me, and I would do the same because I didn't want people to start speculating things. Even though I was not comfortable with my decision, it had to be made, so we agreed on being civil towards each other. So when he saw me sitting alone, he came over and we started talking. It was surprising how he could pretend like everything was okay while I was shaking in my boots. I didn't want Adam to see us together. I think it was guilt eating me up, but the guy was relaxed, so I had to also pretend and relax. As the night went on, Noah and I continued to chat, and our attraction grew stronger. We danced together, shared a few drinks, and eventually found ourselves alone in a secluded part of the venue. I knew there and then that I must have fallen hard for Noah because I had missed his touch, the way he would appreciate my body and make me feel young and carefree. I know I shouldn't have done that, but I couldn't resist. He had that soft touch that would make me want to ask him not to stop what he was doing. It was like his touch and kisses were a drug. Not to mention our intimate moments, they were what I had been longing for. I had been craving for it. We were there, under the moonlight, that Noah and I kissed for the first time since we broke things off. Our kiss was passionate and intense, and we both knew that we wanted more. I know what I did was wrong and evil, but I couldn't resist. I missed him. And the way our kiss was heated, I knew that he missed me too, even though we knew that we were doing something wrong, and there were great chances to get caught. For the next few months, Noah and I continued our affair in secret. I mean, we couldn't resist each other. He was bringing me happiness that I was not getting from my husband since he was always busy. So we would meet up at hotels or secluded parks, always making sure to keep our relationship hidden from everyone else. I know what I did was sluttish and evil, but I had to at least get my happiness outside since my husband couldn't. I mean, Adam is the kind of guy that would be romantic, shower you with love and all. But when it came to affection, making a lady happy, he dismally failed, which led me to crave for something else, something that would make me happy and feel complete. I wanted to be myself. I have seen one of Adam's friends with his wife and the way the guy was treating his wife, touching his wife. I wanted that. I craved for it, and I got it from Noah even though it was all lust and affection. There was no love. But as time went on, I began to feel guilty about my affair with Noah. I knew that I was hurting Adam, the man I had promised to love and cherish for the rest of my life. But what would I have done if he didn't care about my happiness and my desires? The only thing he would do was to shower me with gifts, romantic dinners, and love, but that was not enough for me. I didn't need any materialistic things from him. I needed his attention, affection, and happiness. Sometimes love alone is not enough, right? Weeks later, I had been living in fear and thought that my husband was seeing through me what I have been doing. I felt like the abomination that I had done was written all over me, and it didn't help with the guilt I was feeling. During those weeks, my husband suddenly decided that he was moving out of the house when I asked him why he was doing that. He told me that it was for the best, Not only for him, but for myself also. I didn't understand his lame and lousy excuse, so I fought with him about moving. After the whole begging and throwing tantrums that I did think he would change his mind, the guy continued with his plans and moved out of the house. I knew there and then that my marriage was hanging on a very high and dangerous cliff. You know when you get that feeling that tells you that everything you had worked hard for was about to go south instead of north side? That was what I had felt, and I couldn't even blame anyone for it. About a week after he had moved out, a delivery guy had come to the house, stating that he had come to deliver the parcel. When I asked who had sent it, he told me what all other delivery guys usually say, "I don't know, ma'am, I am just a delivery guy." My conscience told me that maybe it was something from my business clients. Little did I know that it was actually divorce papers, and he wanted me to move out of the house. I thought I was going crazy, like my mind was about to burst like a bomb. I couldn't believe why Adam would just decide to send me such things. Why couldn't he sit down with me and talk like a married and matured couple, but he went out there and filed for a divorce plus full ownership of the house. I couldn't let him win just like that. If he wanted to go, he should have told me, but not to go to our family lawyer and file for a divorce plus full ownership of the house. I was actually given 2 weeks to vacate the house, or else legal actions would be taken against me. And I knew that even if I was to try and fight him, I wouldn't win because I was the one who went outside my marriage and committed adultery. I called our family lawyer and asked for an urgent meeting with Adam because everything was going through our lawyers. Luckily, the week didn't end, and the lawyer had confirmed that we would meet in the next couple of days. So when we got there, I asked Adam why he was divorcing me and why he wanted to take full ownership of our house. I mean, it's not like he wouldn't afford to buy another one. The answers he gave me were more than enough to make me depressed and think of the worst of myself. He showed me and our families, my Nana and his parents, a video and pictures of me and Noah in our secret locations. When I saw the first video of me and Noah getting it on, I felt so humiliated. I didn't know what to do nor say because there was no denying anything since the evidence was right in our faces. I couldn't even look at my Nana because I felt like I knew what her face looked like. She was embarrassed and felt like she was let down by me. And I did let her down and humiliated her image and my husband's in the worst way possible. I tried pleading with Adam to at least have mercy and not take my daughter away. But the guy just told us that he was done talking, and the call he would like to receive would be the call that tells him that I had signed the papers and that my 2 weeks of vacating his house was almost over. So I had to decide fast where I would go, but he wanted me out of the house. Only if I knew that my desires of exploring something else outside my relationship would get me into this mess, I wouldn't have started it. I hate myself for it because even if I wanted to fight him or plead with him, my efforts would be in vain. You know when a person says they were drowning in deep, muddy waters? I was that person. I was drowning in muddy water and I couldn't swim. That was me. I was really depressed and wished to just go far away where there were no troubles and sorrows. I couldn't eat nor do anything, the way I was so depressed. I stayed in my bedroom for the whole week, much to my Nana's annoyance and disapproval, to close myself in my room. I looked like a junkie in the street and it was all my fault. Later on, after I had done having a self-pity party, I decided to get out of my room. My Nana even called my brother to come and plead with me to come out of the room. I started attending sessions. Even now I am still attending them. I just feel like Adam and I can still make everything work, you know. I miss my husband so much, and I am in so much denial to the fact that all that we had worked hard for and had gone through would just vanish just like that. Please help me get my husband back. I know I had done him wrong, but he should allow me to fix everything. Please advise me on what I should do to get my Adam back. Sometimes in life, decisions are harder than they appear to be. Not everything ends up being a left or right decision. Not even a true or false decision is easy sometimes. I know this now because I'm being faced with making such decisions that appear snappy, but really, they're not. My name is Olivia, and I'm a 28-year-old salonist. I own my own salon, and it's a passion I've been pursuing almost all my life. I'm married, and my husband's name is Stanley. He's 28 years old, and he's a freelancer. He's actually a very successful freelancer, and he's done freelancing for almost 10 years now. He's so good at it that it became his own personal profession, and no, he doesn't work from home. He has his own office with people under him who work for him. So guys, We got married 2 years ago, and we dated for exactly 8 months. I don't think we rushed into the marriage, though. My parents always felt like we were moving too fast. I've seen people get married within 5 or even 3 months. The fact that we waited 8 months didn't seem like a rush to me. We met each other and felt like there was no need to keep waiting. We believed that we were right for each other, so we got married. Our married life is nothing out of the ordinary. It's just like a normal marriage, and there is no drama. We fight once in a while and disagree over some certain things, but that's all there is to it. We close from work at the same time, but... Now there's something that has been bothering me for some time. Just a few days ago, I had to temporarily close down my salon because I felt like I was being overcharged for tax. It was also becoming difficult to run the salon because I couldn't keep up with the bills that kept piling up. I had people who worked for me, and I had to pay them too. I was making a lot of money, but at the end of the day, it always felt like I wasn't making any profit. I decided to close down the salon so I could take time to figure out exactly what I was doing wrong. I didn't think closing down the salon would be as difficult as it currently is, but I guess one can never be too sure. It's a lot going on, and I never expected any of it to affect my marriage. Staying at home is difficult, but what's worse is being broke while you're at it. Stanley and I recently got into a fight because I didn't like the kind of reply he gave when I told him I was closing down my business. I didn't expect my husband to act so nonchalantly. If your wife comes to you with a business problem and complains about not making profit and getting overtaxed, you're at least supposed to help her out. If he even offered to help me, I'd have been very grateful. But instead, he just decided to go on with his life as if nothing happened. I expected Stanley to offer me money as a form of help. He has the money and I know it. He's a freelancer that earns on a daily basis. How hard could it be for him to offer me some money to help my business? Before anyone judges Key in the comments section, let me put it out there that I know Stanley earns a lot of money. He doesn't take up small tasks. He once told me that he doesn't take up any task less than $100. He also has people under him who work for him while he teaches them in return. I don't think that he would go broke if he just helped me out. At first, I tried waiting to see if he would eventually try to offer help, but he didn't, so I confronted him. I asked him why he wasn't offering me any help, and he gave me the silly excuse of saying that he just wanted me to figure things out on my own and become a strong businesswoman. What kind of silly excuse is that? I mean, how could anyone really say that to his wife? I've had that salon for 6 good years. If I was able to run it for 6 years and move to a bigger place, then that proves I'm a strong businesswoman. I don't know why he feels like there needs to be a test to prove that. I made it clear to him that what I needed was his financial assistance, not his advice, but he refused to listen to me. Instead, he just decided to feel irritated and angry. That really made me upset because I've been a very independent person, even after I got married to him. I don't ask him to give me money, ever. He only gets things for me out of his own free will and when he feels like it. I don't ask him for money or monthly allowance, so it really hurts me that he's taking his time and making up excuses now that I finally need his help, and I've asked him for money. I'm upset, and I don't think I'll ever not be, because when I think about everything that's been happening within these few days, I get really angry. As if all that is not enough, he shuts me up when I try to bring up the topic again. He told me he's done with that conversation and would not be entertaining it anymore. Stanley has been getting on my nerves a lot, and it's very annoying. I decided to speak to one of my friends just 2 days ago, and she advised me to play it cool and just re-strategize. I mean, how am I supposed to restructure when I don't have any financial support? How am I supposed to get back on my feet with no help? My only source of income is temporarily closed, and my husband is trying to play smart with me. While I was sitting at home doing nothing yesterday, I decided to scroll around social media since that was all I started doing recently. Before I closed down my salon, I didn't have any social media accounts. Yes, I'm actually very serious. I didn't even have a Facebook account. I only had the WhatsApp app, and that was just so I could interact with my family and my clients. I was always too busy to waste time on social media. But since I became very bored and tired of staying home doing nothing, I decided to get on social media. I opened accounts on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, and even Snapchat. I uploaded some of my pictures there and rapidly watched my account grow. I already have thousands of friends, and I communicate with some once in a while. My husband doesn't know about it because I don't really think that this has anything to do with him. Opening a social media account is normal for most individuals, so I just went with it. So, while I was scrolling around yesterday, I stumbled upon a friend request that made me raise my brows. I normally just accepted every friend request I got without scrolling through the person's profile, but the one I got yesterday piqued my interest. On the profile was a very handsome man, and his timeline was filled with very hot pictures. I couldn't understand why a man like that sent a woman like me a friend request. I'd not used such apps before, so I think I'm still quite naive. I clearly stated I'm married on my bio, so I didn't get why. A man like that thought it was okay to be friends with me. I spoke to my sister about it, and she laughed at me. She told me I was being dramatic, and that it was absolutely normal to receive friend requests from people whether you're married or not. We ended up laughing about it, and she casually told me to accept the friend request. At first, I was a little bit skeptical, but then she made it clear to me that not all friends actually message each other. She said that the fact that I had 2,000 friends didn't mean I'd talk to each of them. She said most friends are just there to look at your pictures or add to the numbers. That made some sense to me, so I casually accepted the friend request. Now, the problem is that barely a few minutes after accepting the friend request yesterday at midnight, he messaged me. It's normal to receive a message, but it's the endearment he used that actually caught my attention. He just casually said, "Hi, dear." I was shocked, and the use of the love emoji had me cleaning my eyes to see if I was dreaming. Now, I really do feel like I shouldn't have waited years before having a social media account. Now I'm busy overthinking things and seeing small activities as a big deal. I decided to just reply with a simple hello, so I would not end up acting like a fool. I couldn't speak to my sister anymore because I didn't want her to make fun of me. I don't want to say the guy's real name, so I'll just refer to him as Logan. Logan and I have been chatting quite frequently since yesterday, and I spent over 3 hours speaking to him over the night. I don't know if what I'm doing is right or if I should just end the conversation and stop replying to his messages. What's bothering me is the fact that he uses the love emoji a lot. He uses heart emojis and all those suggestive things. He calls me love, dear, and sweetheart. I don't know if a married woman like me should be engaging in such conversations. I'm quite confused. Even though I've tried avoiding the messages, I just can't help but keep replying to him. I think the reason for this is my current state of joblessness. I don't know what to do, guys. And that brings me to the first statement I made when starting this post. I said sometimes, not everything is a yes or no answer. I could just unfriend him and stop replying to his messages, but something so simple is becoming way too difficult for me. Now I understand that saying. An idle mind is the devil's workshop. Update. Social media is dangerous. The fact that you see a person's picture doesn't mean you know anything about their life. It's been a crazy ride, guys. I'm in shock as I write this to you all. Nothing is as it seems, and I have learnt this the hard way. My social curiosity has come to bite me in the back, and right now, I've realized the mistakes I've made. I cannot believe that my life has gone south in just 4 months. It's just been 4 months, but I've experienced so much change that I'm still finding it hard to comprehend everything. If you're wondering what I'm trying to say, then let me just put it this way. I didn't stop speaking to my Facebook friend. Logan and I are still in contact, and the drama that's come with it is too much to comprehend. I've experienced a lot during these past 2 weeks, and I don't think I ever imagined my life taking such a turn. Barely 2 days after making this post, Logan and I became friends. When I say we became friends, I really mean it. We kept on interacting so much that 2 days felt like forever. He asked for my phone number, and I gave it to him. That's how we started chatting on WhatsApp. He called me almost every hour, and since I was jobless at home, I had enough time to pick his calls and engage in conversations with him. I was conscious at first, and I tried to limit the way we talked to each other, but at some point I stopped being conscious and started speaking to him freely. I didn't understand why a stranger thought it was okay to casually tell me about his life. Maybe it's because I never really had a social life before. That's the excuse I always gave myself when he did things I considered too forward. He would ask me to send him pictures, and I would send it to him. He also sent me his pictures, so it was like a give and take situation. He always called me beautiful, and I ended up blushing in return. I also found him attractive, but I tried my best to keep that to myself. A part of me always kept reminding me that I needed to keep boundaries between us because I was still married. But I knew I could not deceive myself because it was obvious to me that I'd already started crossing a lot of boundaries. I knew deep down that I was acting out because I was angry with my husband. Stanley had still not given me any form of financial support, even though I'd been home for quite some time. During one of my chats with Logan, he asked me what job I did, and I told him I owned a salon, but I'd closed it down temporarily. He was shocked when I told him that, so he asked me why I chose to do what I did. I explained everything to him, and that's when he told me he's actually an accountant and could help me calculate my tax rate if I told him the necessary information. I did just that, and that's when he confirmed that I was really being charged extra. I was really happy to know that I was not wrong, and I didn't close down my salon for nothing at all. He asked me why I just closed it down like that, and I told him I had a lot of customers, but I was just not earning enough profit at the end of the month when I calculated my income. He called me immediately after reading the text message and started asking me questions about my employees and how I run my business. He randomly asked for my account number while we spoke. I asked what he wanted to use it for, and he just casually told me he wanted to use it for some financial calculation. I knew he was just trying to make up an excuse, and I knew he wanted to give me money. I sent him the account number, but didn't expect to get a credit alert barely 10 minutes later. I got a credit alert of $1,000. I was shocked, to say the least. A stranger who I had known for just 2 weeks had sent me $1,000 randomly. I knew he wanted to send money, but I didn't think it would be that big. I imagined he'd just send a few dollars or so. The fact that I didn't even ask him for it and he just sent it made me really surprised. I called him immediately and asked him why he sent me money. He just laughed it off and told me that was just his way of appreciating me. I felt bad about receiving that kind of money, so I sent it back to him and told him I couldn't accept the money. He sent it back to me and told me I should just accept the money. I really appreciated it because for someone like me, who had spent weeks at home being jobless, I appreciated the gesture. It was a huge start for me to have some savings I could use to get my business back on track. Our bond became even stronger, and we started video calling each other. For me, it felt like I was talking to a friend I'd known all my life because he was just too nice. I loved everything about our friendship, and the way he always called to check up on me and give me business advice. I started receiving random alerts, and when I asked him why he sent it, he would tell me not to bother. Within another 2 weeks, I'd been able to receive $2,000. It was more than enough money for me to get back on my feet. Logan was an accountant, so he gave me a lot of tips on how to manage money. I'd gathered $3,000 from someone I wasn't even married to, and my husband found it hard to give me little money to fund my salon. Of course, I'm human, and a lot of ideas got into my head. I kept telling myself that I'd been a total for trying to keep boundaries between me and Logan. If my husband couldn't give me money for trying to fund a salon, then why should I even bother? It wasn't like I asked for money to spend recklessly on luxurious clothes. All I wanted was to get my business back together. He didn't give me financial advice or even try to think of a solution with me. He just made me a housewife and went to work every day like nothing happened. I felt like Logan was better than my husband, and so I just decided to be free and do whatever my heart wanted. Stanley started noticing the way I withdrew from him, and even though he tried to pretend like it didn't bother him, I knew he felt some type of way. But honestly, I didn't care because I was still very angry. If you're not ready to give your wife what she wants, didn't be angry when she eventually looks elsewhere. That's the logic I used, and that's what I used to validate my actions. When I told Logan I planned on opening up my salon again, he was really proud of me. He sent me money again, and even offered to send some help. He was able to send some workers to clean up the salon and renovate some things. He did everything from his own pocket, and I didn't have to spend much money at all. At some point, Logan told me he was finally ready to meet me physically. He lived in another city, which was 4 hours away, but he told me he would make time to come see me after I opened my salon. I was also finally ready to meet Logan because, to be honest, I'd fallen in love with him. Yes, guys, I fell in love with the guy I met online. I loved him because I couldn't believe that a guy that never saw me or got intimate with me could love me that much. Normally, if a guy cares for you like that, you would imagine he just washed your body. But Logan hadn't met me, and he treated me with so much love, so I was certain that I'd fallen in love with him. I didn't tell Stanley I reopened my salon at first because I felt like he didn't care. I felt like the way he had been nonchalant before meant that it didn't bother him that I was jobless, so I didn't tell him anything. He left the house before me and came back after me, so he was clueless. Maybe he didn't suspect anything at first because he was so sure I'd been too broke to start it up all over again. But just like every other experience, this one also had a traitor. You know, I told you guys I had people that worked under me, right? So, Logan told me he suspected that the reason I wasn't earning enough was because my workers were not being honest with my finances. He advised me to sack all of them because he felt like there was someone being dishonest. Some of my workers had moved on and seen other jobs, except only 2 of them. I told them there was no need to come back and advised them to look for other jobs. One of them is Stanley's cousin, and she came to the salon to beg me, but I refused. While she was at the salon, I received a video call from Logan and we flirted on the phone. I forgot about Stanley's cousin, Anna's presence, and she used that to her advantage. She told Stanley that I was cheating on him and I was flirting with another guy. She also told him I fired her and reopened the salon. When I got back that day, Stanley welcomed me angrily and confronted me. He told me that Anna visited and had a lot to say about me. First of all, he asked me why I had the audacity to fire his cousin. Yes, he really said that. It's the audacity for me. He then asked me why I didn't tell him I was planning on reopening my salon. He told me I was foolish for trying to keep secrets from him when he had ears and eyes everywhere. Stanley then accused me of cheating on him because Anna told him she saw me flirting with another guy. I didn't keep mute. Of course, I tried to defend myself by asking him if he had any evidence to back what he said. He told me he was sure I was cheating because that would be the only explanation for having enough money to reopen the salon when I was jobless for weeks. I got really upset that he was so confident I could only reopen my salon by getting money from someone else. That just proved to me that he didn't help me intentionally and left me defend myself. I foolishly told him I was in love with someone I met online, but I had not met him physically yet, so that meant that I didn't cheat on him yet. Stanley got upset when I told him that and said he wanted a divorce. I was actually happy, and I told him I wanted a divorce too, because I couldn't stay with a stingy, selfish man. The next day, I packed my things and left the house. Of course, I had enough money on me. Stanley also told me he filed for divorce and would send me the papers in a week. Logan was aware I was married, so I told him what happened with my husband. He told me he wanted to see me the next day because he was already in the city. I was surprised because we planned on seeing each other at a later date, so I didn't understand why he wanted to love it forward. But since he was already in the city, I agreed. I waited for him at a restaurant, and that was when I met the shock of my life. A woman walked into the restaurant and grabbed my shirt suddenly. At first, I tried talking calmly because I thought she had mistaken me for someone else, but I later discovered that she was Logan's wife. She showed me wedding pictures of Logan and herself and accused me of being a husband snatcher. It felt like I was in a movie, but it was real. Apparently, I'd fallen in love with a married man. She poured a full jar of water, slapped me across the face before warning me to stay away from her husband. I was too shocked to act back. I went home and fried myself to sleep because I realized that I'd ruined my marriage for a married man. I called Logan's other number and told him everything that happened. He was surprised because, according to him, he wasn't the one that asked us to meet and he checked his phone, but there were no messages like that. He later discovered 2 days later that his wife was the one I chatted with that day, and she deleted the messages when she was done. He apologized to me and asked if we could meet again, but I refused. I blocked all his contacts and blocked him on social media. He had a child, and from what I saw that day, his wife is not ready to leave him. I might be stupid, but I'm not stupid enough to ruin another woman's marriage and break a child's family. If I was aware that he was married, I wouldn't have let things get that far. Stanley sent me the divorce papers 1 week later after he signed them. I signed them too and sent it to him. Our divorce would be finalized in 2 months. I didn't go back to beg because I knew I was at fault, and if Logan's wife didn't come to beat me up, I wouldn't have gone back to him. Our marriage was over from the moment he refused to help me, and from the moment I started encouraging another man's messages. My karma hit me hard because bad decisions lead to bad circumstances. A married woman shouldn't date online. Social media is also deceptive because a person can lie through their teeth, yet you won't know.